Hey guys, you can now support this show and make your life 50% better by going to patreon.com/thesystemisdown and signing up for the Downers Club, where you're going to get access to a plethora of wild, crazy, and often offensive bonus audio and video episodes of the show on a weekly basis. For more information, just go to patreon.com/thesystemisdown. The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
What's up, Downers? Happy Halloween. Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. You know what it is. It's The System is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics, the things that might make you a little bit scared, might make you uneasy, might make you question a few things in your life and stay a little bit uncomfortable. Things like conspiracies, politics, and religion. Today's episode is my continued conversation with Lailoken Scathach, Occultist witch. We're talking about witchcraft, and this is picking up just right in the middle of the conversation, right where we left off last week. So if you haven't heard last week's episode, go check that out. It was really enjoyable, really civil conversation with a witch, which some people don't think is possible. They assume that, you know, all these Hollywood things are true where people are murdering and eating babies. I don't know. But go check out the beginning of the conversation, and we're going to jump right back into it here in just a second. So be back here in about an hour after you listen to last week's, and we'll continue this thing. Also, please go check out the Downers Club. That is the patron program that keeps this show going, keeps it looking bigger, more beautiful than ever, every single week. So patreon.com/thesystemisdown. You can sign up for as little as a cup of coffee a month, and you'll get a bunch of bonus audio and video content every single week, including my conversation. We did a full bonus hour on top of the 2 other hours Lailoken and I did, where we dug into some of the more sexy stuff like Halloween and Hollywood's portrayal of witches and occultist symbolism and entertainment and stuff like that. So patreon.com/thesystemisdown. I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of the show, so stick around. Also got to give a shout out to our sponsor, the 29 Toes podcast, which is a totally different show than this one is. So if you feel a little too uncomfortable after this episode and you want to go cleanse your palate, just go listen to the 29 Toes podcast. It's dudes sitting around talking about dude stuff. I suppose they have their wives on too to chat about things. So not just dudes. I might be selling them short. They dudes and chicks talking about dude and chick stuff. Just normal everyday stuff that goes on in life. Some current events. They talk about movies, entertainment, media, video games, music, all sorts of things. So go check them out. 29 Toes podcast, wherever podcasts are sold. All right, here's the continuation of my conversation with occultist witch Lailoken Scathach. Let's get weird. So, I mean, you say there's, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you kind of said there's no ultimate good or evil. So is there a point to doing these rituals? Is the whole point just to improve your current situation in life and give you the best life that you can have, or what is your ultimate goal in doing these rituals or carrying these things out?
The thing with good and evil is it's very clear cut. It's black or white. Mm-hmm. And obviously there is good and evil. For example, if you go out and murder someone, that's an evil act. Mm-hmm. So there is evil in that sense. However,
of course, the Christian response to that would be, what makes that evil? I said, of course, the typical Christian response would be, what makes that evil? I mean, that comes back to the whole morality issue and what is right and wrong without some sort of creator.
What makes what evil?
Murdering.
Murdering someone?
Yes.
What makes it evil?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it is, but I mean, I'm sure you've heard the argument without some creator to base your morality on, like what determines survival of the fittest. Why aren't we just killing off our own species? What makes that right and wrong? That type of thing.
I understand.
Sure.
Well, survival of the fittest is actually a really bizarre concept, and it actually doesn't exist. It's actually the strongest traits survive. So for example, if you have, like, let's say a little tiny furry creature that can't really defend itself, then you have this big huge creature that's could just squash it in an instant. That's not survival of the fittest, because this little creature, if the temperatures change or the food kind of shrinks down, then that bigger creature needs more energy, and maybe it doesn't have fur, it's not going to survive. Whereas that little creature that it only has to eat a little bit, and it has fur, protects itself, and it carries on to the next generation, and evolution takes over from that point. So it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of who adapts the fastest. Human beings are very creative. We've adapted all kinds of environments. We live on every well, except for the water, we live on pretty much every part of land. We're able to adapt. We're able to manipulate the environment to fit us. But anyhow, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Sorry. Sure. But yes, so there is, actions are right and wrong. We have that. It's inherently inside of us. And your morality, my morality, are shaped by, first of all, the culture we're in. We're in Western society. We're influenced by that. And family upbringing, you're influenced by that. Your friends, your school, your institutions, your church, or anything. Yes, those have an influence on you. Those affect your morality. So Western culture has been influenced by Christianity. And so I think morality definitely has gotten into the fabric of our culture. And I don't think people should try and deny that. I think that they should definitely accept that. However, Christianity's, the ideas of morals didn't start with Christianity. It's been around. It was in pre-Christian traditions. There were cultures for thousands and thousands of years before the cult of Christ. But most cultures have had, it's wrong to kill, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to rape. These are pretty much, you can go anywhere in the entire world, and chances are these are morals that everyone is going to have. Sure. Now you can have moral dilemmas, which a lot of people have, where it's good but it's not good, or it's bad but it's not good, and that's where you get into these gray areas, and that I think is kind of tricky. Like, if someone steals a loaf of bread to feed their family, it's stealing. Is that wrong? But if they don't, they're going to starve to death. And so these are where you get into these kind of gray areas. And morality is one of those things where I think you have to look within side of yourself and say, is this wrong? Is this right? And I've had that. I've come up with all kinds of moral questions in my life about what is right, what is wrong in a particular situation, and you have to make a decision and go with it, and then you pay for that, whatever it is. Either you're rewarded or you're punished for it, but you have to make a decision about some things. And sometimes it's not very black and white. It's not good and evil. Sometimes it's kind of gray. But whatever I do, it's my responsibility. Absolutely 100% my choice, my responsibility. I suffer the consequences for whatever it is. I can't blame anyone else. I can't blame the devil. I can't blame God. I can't blame my parents. I can't blame society. I fucked up. I did it. I made the choice.
Yeah.
So
is there, I mean, would you say that there's a greater good that is leading you to, perform these acts? I mean, my main reason for these questions is I'm curious why the secrecy around this type of thing.
It's okay. It's just the same questions a lot of Christians ask me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's why I'm making funny faces.
No, you're fine. But I mean, my main question is like when in a lot of religions, at least like Christianity and stuff like that, it's like they might be completely wrong, but they put it all out on the table. There's no like hidden, for the most part, there's no like hidden secrets or anything like that. There's no close-knit societies or like secret societies that you're not allowed to know certain things about. So why if it's for some sort of greater good or for the betterment of humanity, why the secrecy? And same goes for like Freemasons and any secret society or anything like that. Why keep these things to yourself and not go out and share it with the world?
I understand. Yeah, no, that's a very legitimate question. It's a very good question. It's a common question, but it's a very good question. I'm not a Freemason, so I don't have anything against Freemasons. They're a fraternal organization, and I know they're kind of like, they're into, making great men even greater.
Sure.
When I joined the coven, they didn't tell me, hey, we're going to make you a better person. That's not what it was about. It was about sharing. We first of all, we share a common belief. We share a common trait. We want to worship the old gods, even though I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in deities, but there are still common roots that we have. So that brings us together right there. Now, the reason why there is secrecy is there's various levels of it. The very first level is safety. Back in the time of Gerald Gardner, 1939, the New Forest Coven, basically, if you were a witch, you were shunned. Sure. You were you lost your job, probably lost your house. There were people who actually lost their homes. There was a member of Gerald Gardner's coven at the time, and he did things like I'm doing right now. He went on to shows, he talked, he was very out there in the open, and he shared somebody's likeness, and somebody recognized her. She immediately lost her job, lost her place to live. She was out on the street. So safety was the number one reason. And it's still the number one reason today. Like, I will not name people who I know who are witches unless I absolutely know I have their permission.
Sure.
I'm not going to point to somebody and say, "Oh, they're a witch." Right. I'm just not going to do that, because that's breaking an oath. That's breaking a violation of someone else's trust. That's the main reason. The second part is, again, it's a mystery tradition. If I told you, I said, you're going to experience this, this is going to happen, I've kind of robbed you of that experience. But also, I want whoever who's being, like, let's say, brought into the cult, brought into the mystery tradition, I want them to experience what it is that they're going to experience. And again, everybody's experience is going to be different. My experience is going to be different from their experience. So if I told them the experience, they're not going to have it. They're not going to experience the experience of it, It's kind of like, for example, I've never walked on the moon. You've never walked on the moon. There's people who walked on the moon. So they can describe what it's like walking on the moon and what it was like without gravity and all this stuff, but we can't experience that. They can share it with us, but we've never really experienced it. So that's kind of one of the reasons why there's secrecy, is because it's an experience that each individual can experience for themselves. And it's not really for the profane. Like if it was if it was out in the open and really transparent, I think that it would lose a lot of its romance, a lot of its mystery. And that's one of the main reasons. It's now kind of part of our lore, if you will. It's kind of part of our tradition. It's really funny because nowadays it's kind of like we care less about who we reveal as a witch, as much as it is we want to protect our book of shadows, our quote unquote dogma, if you will. We're actually we seem to have more focus on protecting our practice, our liturgy, than we do of protecting the individual. And I think that's kind of a shame. I think it should be the other way around. What I mean is that there's our rituals that we practice, and the way that we practice them are supposed to be secret. They're not supposed to be given to the profane. But it's been out there, unfortunately. There's a lot of material that has been shared with the public. And people have various opinions about this. Some people say that it's a shame. Other people, like myself, say, well, hey, I think we should be transparent. I think that we should put it out there. It's still not going to rob people of that experience of going through the mystery of it, but it puts it out there so that people wonder, like, okay, do we dance naked in the forest and sacrifice children? I mean, do they really believe that we do that? If we're transparent about it,
Some
then
do.
A
lot of people in my circle do. So
and that's that's really a shame. That's really a shame. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that.
Well, I mean, obviously, Hollywood has. We can talk about this more in the bonus content too. But I mean, like, the Hollywood perception of what you believe is exactly what you just described, which is what causes most people to jump to the conclusion that that is your practice and your belief. Yeah,
life is incredibly sacred. A newborn child is an acorn. It's the potential to be something great. And we're all great. Aleister Crowley said that we're all stars in the sky. Some may be brighter than others, but we're all stars. We all have a beauty and a creative nature inside of us. And another thing that Aleister Crowley was mistakenly, when he talked about do as thou wilt, what he's not talking about like do what you want to do. It's not the Wiccan read. The Wiccan read is actually different from what Aleister Crowley was saying. Aleister Crowley was saying do what you will, meaning what is your ultimate purpose in life. It's the Joseph Campbell quote of, live your bliss, be who you are, and have the courage to do that. Like if you want to start a podcast on YouTube, do it. If you want to become an artist, you want to become a musician, do it. Believe in yourself, believe that you are great, believe that you can do that. Life is a precious, precious thing, and I cannot fathom why people believe that we don't care about life and we're just willing to spill blood for what? Why would we spill blood? If we spill blood, what's the purpose of that? It's
especially if you don't believe in Satan.
Well, especially if you don't believe in Satan, but it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no reason to hurt anyone. Obviously, if you attack me, I'm going to defend myself.
Sure.
But first of all, I have empathy for other human beings. So I don't understand that at all. It is Hollywood, like you said. It's false bullshit. But the other thing is, what are the facts? Let's eliminate all this bullshit. Eliminate what I said, eliminate what other people. What are the facts? And that's what you have to look at. The facts of the matter is that there have been people like Richard Ramirez who say hail Satan, and they kill people, and they're psychopaths. They don't have empathy. They kill indiscriminately. They don't care. You have people who have been falsely accused of being in a satanic cult, like the McMartin preschool and the Oak Hill Daycare Center. but there's no, like, I can show you occult books. I can, you can download them. It's all out there on the internet. People can just do simple Google search and you can find information that took me years to find,
Sure.
20, 30 years ago. Well, 20 years ago. But yeah, a lot of the information that I wanted to find back then, I would have to find other people and borrow books or do interlibrary loans. Now you can go and, you want to find out what the Ars Paulina is, or the Black Pullet, or the Key of Solomon, or any of these things. You just type it into Google and you can find it. You can read through it. There's no ritual about human sacrifice. There's no ritual of killing animals. There's no ritual of abusing children. There's no ritual. It doesn't exist. People make it up and they throw it out there and they believe these things. And one of the things that I always break it down to is it doesn't matter who commits murder. It doesn't matter who commits abusing children. It's illegal. So if you're a Christian doing it, it's illegal. If you're a
and immoral, even if it's not illegal in your culture.
Yeah, it's illegal, and you should be punished for it. If you are doing that, and people believe that you, like, for example, let's say somebody accuses me of committing human sacrifice. If they have any evidence of it, bring it to the FBI. That is your civil responsibility, and it pisses me off to no end when people like Thomas Dunn have a guy named Greg Reed on his channel, and Greg Reed sits there and he says that he was an accessory to a murder of a friend of his named Mark back in when they were 13 years old or 14 years old. He has a fucking responsibility to take that to the police. I mean, if this actually happened, he needs to do that. And to the best of my knowledge, he's never done that. I contacted him and I asked him, I said, hey, I was polite about it. And I said, hey, I'd like to find out more about this. Did you ever file a police report? Any of this? No, he didn't. So it leads me to believe that the reason why he's sticking with this story is because he wants people to believe that people like myself are going around doing these things. And we're not. We're not doing it. And
do you believe anybody, like any Satanist, or do you believe there's any facet of humans that are doing this under any sort of religious practice or anything? Or?
Okay. Do I believe people are committing murder?
I mean, Tom always talks about satanic ritual abuse and that type of thing. Do you believe that there is any faction of people who are doing things in the name of Satan that is against humanity or anything? Oh, I said, do you believe in satanic ritual abuse of any kind or anything like that? Like, there's any faction of people that don't believe in the value of human life, such like you do, and they are committing these sacrifices, or not?
I believe there's people who murder people in this world. I believe that there are people they don't value life. They will commit murder. They'll rob. They'll steal. They'll rape. Yeah, unfortunately, there are people like that in this world. Yes, absolutely. Now, when you start getting into the realm of a religious reason for it, I don't know if you've ever read Kenneth Lanning's 1992 FBI report on satanic ritual abuse or ritual abuse, child abuse.
I have not personally, no.
Okay. So during the quote-unquote satanic panic in the late 1980s, early 1990s, there was a lot of allegations. For example, the McMartin preschool. So there was a lady she later died of alcoholism, but she was mentally unstable, and she got it in her mind that her children, like, they came home with a scar or something like that, and she got into her mind that the McMartin preschool was abusing children. And so they took the children to a therapist, and the therapist showed them a doll, and they went through and they questioned, and they basically kind of put ideas into these children's minds that babies were being killed in this McMartin preschool. Okay, they were being killed. They're thrown into these pits, animals were being killed. So rabbits, like hundreds and hundreds of rabbits were being killed. They were being thrown into these pits with these animals. They were dancing around in black robes with candles. There was cannibalism involved. There was bizarre sex rituals. They were supposedly being flown off to Mexico to be sold into sexual slavery and then flown back in time to be picked up by their parents. And this is all happening in a preschool, mind you, okay? So she starts talking to other parents. Other parents talk to their children. They start kind of putting ideas into their mind. The kids are now supporting this. However, they combed the entire McMartin preschool. They did not find any evidence of any bones, fur, blood, anything. And then they said, well, there's these tunnels. So then they called in an archaeological team. So the parents are out there digging for these tunnels, and they stopped it. They said, let's get an archaeological team in here. We're going to do an excavation. They marked it all off. They dug. They looked for these tunnels and these chambers. Did not find it. There's absolutely no evidence of any of this happening. Mm-hmm. And people got the slogan, "We believe the children." So they went entirely on "We believe the children," which is understandable. Mm-hmm. You're a parent, you know, your child starts saying outrageous things. Yeah, of course You'd be concerned. I'd be concerned. However, there's no evidence of it. And that's the same thing that happens today with what Kenneth Lanning says is a very bad description, which is quote unquote satanic ritual abuse. Sure. You could call it ritual abuse. Like if you have a child and you don't want to get your child vaccinated because it breaks your religious beliefs, or if you beat your child to death because you believe he was possessed by Satan, right? These things actually happened. Okay, so these things, it's not just made up. These are things that Kenneth Lanning actually put into his report. If a parent does this to their child because they're Christian and they believe that the child is possessed by Satan, do we then call that Christian ritual abuse?
Yes.
I'm asking you. Yeah, you would call it Christian ritual abuse?
I mean, vaccinations are a different topic altogether, but if you're abusing your child in the name of God, and some might say if you are, laying your child on an altar and about to crucify them or sacrifice them to God, that might be considered Christian ritual abuse too, which is in the Bible.
Yeah, but I don't think Christians chop babies up on altars anymore. I mean, I could be wrong. I just don't think.
Not to my knowledge, no.
I think
I was referring to
maybe the last one where they sacrificed a child, or were going to sacrifice a child. I mean, the funniest thing is that people always quote Aleister Crowley's this one passage in one of his books. Aleister Crowley wrote hundreds of books, and he put one passage in there that people always pull out of context. I always think it's so funny because I've read the Bible and I know about genocide, rape, slavery, sacrificing babies in the Bible. Lot's child was going to be sacrificed. Incest. Sure. All these things, but I don't think Christians are running around committing incest. I don't think they're committing genocide. I don't think they're stoning adulterers to death. I don't think they're justifying slavery. All of these things I don't think Christians are doing, even though it's in their book. It's in their Bible. That's what God did. This is his commandment. This is their holy book.
Just so you know, I have issues with the Bible as well, was my point with the sacrificing of your child too. So I agree with you on that point. Yeah, but if that was a thing that was currently happening, it should absolutely be called Christian ritual abuse.
Absolutely.
If it was religiously based.
Yeah, and so that's why I was asking you, like, if there's criminal activity being done, then it's criminal activity. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care if you're an atheist. If you're an atheist and you're molesting children, you're molesting children, and you need to be investigated, and you need to be thrown in jail for it.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, yes, I think there are people who commit crimes in this world. However, is it part of quote unquote satanic liturgy, part of satanic practice? Absolutely not. There is no ritual, there is no practice, there is nothing that involves sacrificing humans, drinking blood, cannibalism, molesting children, or even sacrificing animals. Now, if you're into Santeria, Voodoo, and I've actually gotten into pretty heated arguments with people of other pagan paths who justify killing animals because they're going to consume the animal afterwards. Whatever. I openly condemn that. I don't think it's good. I don't see any benefit to it whatsoever. But it's part of, for example, Santeria. It's part of their culture. That's what they do. It's not something that I practice, endorse, or...
Do you mean like killing animals at all, or just killing animals like sacrificially and then consuming them? Like, are you against killing of animals or not? Like,
like am I a vegetarian?
Sure. Like, are you vegan or anything like that?
No. I love pork ribs.
Sure.
No, absolutely. No.
Sure.
That's why it gets tricky with religion and sacrificing animals. Now, the reason why I'm going to kind of preface this and back it up a little bit. If you're a Christian and you, before dinner, you pray. Thank you, God, for this food that I'm about to, put into my body and consume. Right. And you understand you're giving thanks to God for providing you with that food. This is a very ancient tradition. This is a very old tradition, probably goes back to hunter times, where you go out, you hunt for an animal, and you understand that that animal either gave its life for you, or maybe the gods favored you and you killed that animal and you were successful, and now your tribe is going to have meat. It's going to probably survive the winter. It was a very good thing. So it was a ritual. You didn't just kill the animal and consumed it. You made a spectacle of it. You made a ritual of it. There's even a shamanistic tribe in Japan where what they do is they ritually kill a bear, and then they make the bear the honorary guest at this meal, and they feed the bear its own flesh. In the Eucharist, you drink the blood of Christ, you become one with the Christ, and you eat the wafer. You eat his flesh. So that's a symbolic representation of consuming the flesh and becoming part of, at one with the deity or whatever. So there are pagan religions that sacrifice animals and then they consume them afterwards. Yes, that does happen. It's not something that I practice, because now I can go down to my local butcher, get a slice of meat, and take it home with me and cook it. I didn't go out, hunt it, and do all these things. It was all ready for me, so I didn't have to do any of that. Right. However, I do understand that when I'm consuming another creature, when I'm consuming flesh of something that was alive again, I'm taking that into me, and it's giving me nourishment, and I understand that that animal essentially gave its life for me, sacrificed itself for me. So I think that's an important thing to understand, especially when it comes to things that die so that you can live on.
Yeah. Hey, Dan Smots here. I'm taking a second to interrupt myself talking to talk about myself because, I don't get paid a penny for the hours and hours that I put into creating this show for you guys in your greedy little ears, and I've got a family to feed. To make that happen, I run my own media business called Goulash Media. If you have a need in anything from video production to graphic design to audio production and beyond, you can get it all for a painfully fair price at Goulash Media. In video, I do weddings, music videos, commercials, pageants, plays, etc., etc., etc. For design, I do photo editing, album art, logos, branding, business cards, merchandise, you name it. For audio, I do engineering, production, editing, jingles, and, well, podcasts. So if you've got a media need of any kind, or if you'd just like to give a little something back and help keep my children fed, check out all the endless options at my website, goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where we cater to the little guy with the big vision. Okay. my final question was on, like, I watched the documentary that we were talking about earlier. It seemed more like the Wiccan witchcraft that Gerald Gardner believed in was more like nature based and like earth based, and not necessarily anything outside of this world. Am I correct in that? Like, is it more just praising nature and the earth and that type of thing, or am I totally off?
No. I think you're right. I think you're right. It is that. I mean, it's very much a nature. It's a nature-based religion. It's kind of funny because I hear people sometimes say that we worship nature, and yeah, in a sense we do, but it's again, it's that connection. It's that, like I talked about earlier, that thing that really got me interested in it. It's that connection. You feel, or at least I should say, I feel connected and I feel alive when I'm just sort of existing. Like it's like I've gone camping in Yosemite. I live in San Francisco. I'm very close to the water here. When I go down to the water and I watch the sun set and I feel the air and I can smell the water and I can hear the waves and I can see the sunset and I hear the seagulls and I hear people walking behind me and I can even feel the steps of people in the sand. And for that moment that I feel that, I just feel insignificant and significant all at the same time. It's just kind of like this quiet feeling of just being one with everything,
Just appreciating what this is, whatever this
yeah,
is.
exactly. Understanding just the beauty of life. That's again, it comes down to, I think that all witches and even Satanists and occultists and pagans, we love life. We fucking love it, I'm serious. You will, if you ever talk to pagans, witches, occultists, you're going to meet some of the best people you've ever met. And I'm not saying the Christians aren't. I've met a lot of very decent Christian people. A lot of Christians I have a great deal of respect for. And they're pretty down to earth. They're good people, and they really follow their beliefs, and they really follow their God and their concept of the Christ. And I have a lot of respect for them. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. I'll come right back.
No, you're fine.
But I work for nonprofits in San Francisco. So we work with the homeless. We work with, at least my old job we did. And there's a lot of Christian organizations that feed the homeless in San Francisco. They open up shelters for them. There's one organization. It's a small little mission church, and they wash the feet of homeless people. Homeless people can go in there and they'll actually wash the feet of them. And that's not something I would do. I'm just going to be absolutely honest with you. I am not that good. I'm not that pure of heart. They are, however, and they're not looking for glory. You're not going to hear about them on YouTube. They're not going to be selling you T-shirts about Hampstead. They're not going to be doing any of that. They're
Just
out
gonna sneak
there.
that in there, huh?
Yeah, no, I couldn't help it. Sorry, Thomas. I couldn't help it, buddy. But Tom is a good guy. Tom is a good guy.
Sure.
And I have faith in him that he's going to come around. But anyhow, and
I'm sure he feels the same about
his
you.
own sense, and not come around and become a Wiccan.
But hey, keep praying to Earth for him, and maybe he'll come around to
right, exactly. But anyhow, they're just good people, and they really care about helping their fellow human beings, and they show it. So I have a lot of respect for them. Yeah. Now, off that tangent, now that I did my little snide remark to Thomas, now I'll get back to to what it was. So yeah, we do in a sense worship nature. We do kind of worship the sun, worship the moon, worship the earth, but not as objects as much as the sun is a representation of the male aspect of creation, everything. And then the moon is considered to be the feminine aspect. It's all the aspects of ourselves, all the intuitive aspects, the emotional aspects, the more mystical aspects. There's a lot of goddesses that are associated with the moon. And the god is kind of like that fiery, dependable father figure that he's always there.
Now, you're using words like gods and creation and stuff like that. Are you just meaning like different energies, or do you? I mean, we talked about deities, and you said you don't believe in those, so just curious.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the evolution of my concept of deities is, like I said before, I kind of believed in the monotheistic deity, a one deity that governed everything. And then then my belief sort of changed to a polytheistic. So there was a pantheon of gods, for
Sure.
example, the Greek or Roman pantheon
Hmm.
of gods. And if you look at each one of those gods, they represent certain elements. And for example, Ares kind of represents war and energy and fighting. And Athena represents sort of the more laid back kind of wisdom of combat. And Gaia represents the earth and the caring for and growing. And Zeus is sort of like the father figure and the guiding one, and he sort of dictates everything. So I see gods as aspects of ourselves. So I can see Ares within me, I can see Gaia within me, I can see Jupiter within me.
Hmm.
I can see these aspects of deity within myself. So that's how that's how I relate to deities today. I see them as aspects of myself. And so so when I'm talking kind of like these abstract terms about deities, that's how I view them.
Sure, gotcha. Well, great, fantastic. And I mentioned at the beginning that you are you have a channel on YouTube where you kind of debunk different theories and different conspiracies, religion, and stuff like that, and even stuff about Satanism, stuff about witchcraft, all these things. And I really enjoy it. So tell everybody about your channel and tell everybody where they can find out more information about you.
Okay. Well, my channel name is Hellbound Heathen. So if you go into YouTube, just put in Hellbound Heathen, or hopefully you'll have a link to my channel below.
Which I'm assuming is a joke, right?
What?
Since you don't believe in heathens or hell.
Well, there's an interesting story about that. I guess I'll get into that. Boy, I love talking about it. I forget how much I enjoy it. The real ego boost, man. Just sitting there talking about yourself. Wow, somebody wants to know about me.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, Hellbound Heathen is kind of a joke because it's when I was getting into fights with people, like I'd go on to Now You See TV or Through the Black, and I would say, there's not evidence for satanic ritual abuse, or McMartin Preschool, they were innocent, or all these various things. So I'd have comments. People would make comments on my videos like, "You're going to hell. You don't understand. God is real, and I hope that one day you turn your life over to Jesus Christ," and all this stuff. And so I started getting in the idea of, why don't I just call myself a hellbound heathen?
Just
because
take their ammunition away. You're right. I'm going to hell. Fine. Now, let's move on to an actual conversation.
Exactly. I'm hellbound. I'm a heathen. Yes. What else worse could they call me? And also, there's a great channel called Poisoning the Well, and they're kind of like a skeptic comedian. They're two of the greatest guys. I love them. But they always ended their videos saying, "You hellbound heathens." And so I said, "Oh, you know what? That's it. I'm naming my channel Hellbound Heathen," because I actually started out with the Lailoken Scathach, but nobody fucking knew what that was, So, so I changed it to Hellbound Heathen, and so then, they kind of have an idea of what it is.
Right.
But my channel, yes, I do debunk a lot of things, but actually, I think what I should say, so that your viewers maybe understand it better, is that I offer the facts. I offer the evidence. I offer what information there is, and I present it in such a way that they can look at it. I provide the links. They can go and they can find out for themselves. That's kind of what I do. I offer that side of everything. Yeah, I don't make fun of people's religion. I might in a video because I'm going to be poking fun at the other person, and I'm going to be kind of like going to be poking fun at them. So I might bring up certain things. Usually I bring up the Bible because the Bible's filled with contradictions, and it's filled also with a lot of bloody, disgusting things, like genocide and murder and rape and slavery and incest. So I'll bring up things like that. As for Christians who believe, I'm happy for them. I want them to believe whatever it is that they believe. I want Christians to be the best Christians that they can, but I don't want it to come at the expense of people like myself, where they are basically just trying to make us out to look like the bad guys so that their religion looks better, which I think they try to do. It's a very weird concept, but they kind of label every religion that isn't their own as bad. So I've heard, and I'm talking about like these evangelical Christian types who are like hardcore, staunch, Christians. They denigrate Mormons, they denigrate Catholics, they denigrate they're kind of, and even some Christians, they're like, whatever they practice is like the purest form of Christianity, and all these other groups are, lost or not real Christians.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the questions I had down that I wasn't even going to touch on, because we pretty well addressed it, and you've said that you have respect for, Christians, let them believe what they believe, as long as do what thou wilt type thing. But yeah, one of the questions I had down was, do witches see Christians or other religions as evil, or the opposite, the way that most Christians see Satanists or witches or anybody else as evil and pushing against them? I mean, you don't even necessarily have to address this question, because we pretty well covered that over and over again in all this, and it's clear that you don't. So
yeah, I mean, I'll address it since you asked it. But no, I don't think Christians are. I don't think they mean to be. I don't think they're purposely trying to be, quote unquote, evil. I think it's dangerous, and I can fall into this too. I can fall for this, but we can think that we're right and we're just, and what we believe is true. And this can happen in any aspect. Any ideology can fall into this. We're seeing this. I'm not going to get political on here, but we can see that in the political arena right now. Everybody's right. Their side is the right side. The other side is the wrong side.
The other side is not just the wrong side. The other side is evil.
Exactly. And the reason why they're evil is because we are just. We are right. And so, yes, I think, and it's happened within our own community, where there are, quote unquote, witch wars, where there are people who practice the right form of witchcraft,
right,
and then there's people who practice the wrong form of witchcraft.
Yep.
So we'll get into these little battles, and it happened more maybe in like the 90s, when kind of like there was this, because Wicca had such a stronghold on books and everything was about Wicca, like Wicca book, Wicca. And then there were people who were Reconstructionists who kind of like looked back in the past, and they kind of reconstruction about traditional witchcraft, but they didn't practice my form, the Gardnerian Wicca witchcraft. And so there was kind of a rift that grew between these groups. Wicca didn't recognize those people, and those people didn't recognize those people. So it happens within us. I think nowadays, it's that division is beginning to calm down a little bit. We're recognizing, you have your practice and you don't follow Wicca, and we have our practice and we follow our way, and we don't follow traditional witchcraft. And so there's people who practice witchcraft, but they don't practice it as a religion. Like some of them are atheists, or they're, maybe they practice some other religion, but they also practice witchcraft. And I don't understand that at all, because my religion and my practice is witchcraft. And it's, there's no way I can separate those two. But it doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong. It doesn't mean that they're right and I'm wrong. It just means that we have a different perspective on it. And I think that is something that needs to happen right now in the political sphere, is that people need to start coming together and recognizing that there's elements that people believe, and then there's elements that they believe, and they're not going to jive. They're not going to meet in the middle about that. And that is okay. There's legitimate concerns on every side. If you sit there and, like we're doing right now, if you actually sit down and rationally talk to each other, you're never, like you and I, we could paint each other. We didn't know each other before we came into this. We could have painted each other as, you know, the evil conspiracy theorist, and then the evil satanic guy.
Right.
And we could have painted it that way, but rather we decided to let down our defenses and open up and just say, hey, what do you believe? What do you believe? And just have a honest, civil discourse.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the show. That's why I started the show, because I have certain beliefs on religion, conspiracies, and politics, and even in conspiracies, there's these rifts of people where it's like, you don't think that 9/11 was an inside job, so you're a shill, so you're working for Satan, and like jumping to crazy conclusions. So yeah, I think it's really important to have these dialogues and just discuss why we think the way we do, and I think that's really important. But you were plugging your stuff, so I'll let you get back to that, and we can. No, you're fine. I get off on rabbit trails all the time, so you're totally fine.
Well, I'm sorry. I get off on rants. So my
I love it. I love it.
But so I do debunk videos, and also I did do some training videos, and I kind of got away from that. It's a long story. I actually have a video series. I actually have a video on this, but I was actually kicked out of a coven that I was in because they were concerned that I was revealing too much, and they were a little concerned about that. And
so you're a shill in the witch community, even like you're probably some sort of evil Christian or something.
Well, maybe to them I am, but it's also I have to own my part. I have to understand that like if speaking to you right now, I'm not representing anyone except for myself. I'm not speaking for any other witch. I'm just speaking for myself. And so I do understand that that they might not have wanted to be associated with me because I was putting my face out there, and I was putting myself out there, and I think that they were a little concerned about that. And yeah, they have every right to do it. They're also concerned that I might break my oaths, and yeah, I can understand that. I haven't yet, and they've never accused me of that. If you are a witch who happens to watch this, and people within your own circles, because we have our own inner network of communication, but they're more than welcome to check out my past and talk to my initiators and ask them. And I'm fairly confident, 99.9% confident, that they don't feel that I broke my oaths. If I did, then I'll pay the consequences of that. Sure. But for the most part, I don't believe that I have, but they had some concerns. So anyhow, again, I'm getting off on a tangent. I apologize. So I don't really teach Wicca anymore on a video format. I am working on putting together a small group because I have my own online coven, and I've been working on that. But again, there's moral dilemmas, things that I have to go through because it would be a training coven, and it's very difficult to train people over the internet. Sure. You had to do it face to face. So I've been kind of working.
It's hard to dance naked in the woods around a bonfire on the internet, right?
Yeah, but you really have to know that, because if you're naked and there's fire involved, there's places you get burned that you wouldn't normally get burned. So
sure.
I'm very, very careful with that. That is Witch 101 right there.
Fantastic. Well, Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. And I as I always say, I hope that this proves that, you can talk to people that you disagree with and you can have civil conversations, just, figure out life together. And the person that you disagree with is not your enemy. There's probably an enemy out there, and it's not the person that you disagree with about politics, conspiracies, or religion, or anything. But Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I would happily have you back on anytime, man.
Sounds good. And thank you so much. It was really wonderful talking with you, and I really appreciate your outlook. So thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed the conclusion, well, the free conclusion of my conversation with Lailoken Scathach as much as I did. And I did. I found him to be, as I said last week, a very kind and civil individual, and I'm certainly not going to fault him for having different beliefs than I. I mean, my upbringing would have told me otherwise. Would have told me that he is the enemy that I should be debating with. But we're all figuring this out together. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I like to think that I'm right, but statistically, there's a very good chance that we're all wrong. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who are members of the Downers Club. If you are a member of the Downers Club, you will get the bonus. We did, I think, almost a full bonus hour after these 2 episodes, where Ken and I just continued the conversation. We talked about some of the more sexy stuff like Halloween, Hollywood's portrayal of witchcraft, occultic symbolism in like movies and television, things like that, Illuminati, all that stuff, all the stuff that, conspiracy people like to dig into. We chatted about that. So if you want that, you can join the Downers Club and get access to that right away by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down and signing up for as little as a cup of coffee a month. It's $5 a month. That's it. That's basically free. You won't realize that it's even missing every single month, so go check that out. And you'll also be helping keep this show getting bigger and better and more exciting and entertaining guests every single week. And every single week you'll get the bonus audio and video content that we put out on a very regular basis. So go check that out, patreon.com/The System Is Down. Also, be sure to tune in to Anti-News Live tonight. We're at the time of me recording this, we're still planning on doing it at 9 o'clock. We might bump it up to 7 or 8 Central Time because we've got apparently some of our listeners, some of the Downers, they get a little bit sleepy around 9 o'clock. And I understand because by the time we chime in, I'm a little tired myself. And then we do multiple hours of that. So we're thinking about bumping it up earlier. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments section or on the System Is Down forum what you think about that. If you'd like it to be bumped up, if there's another night that would work better. We're still kind of feeling out this space. It's still pretty new to us. We've only been doing it for 7 or 8 episodes. So let me know what works best for you. We want to make it an enjoyable, interactive experience, party where you guys can tune in, chime in, give your thoughts on what's happening in the world. So let me know at dan@tsidpod.com. That's my email address. You can email me there if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, concerns about, me associating with witches or whatever you're going to say, inevitably. You can let me know in the comments on YouTube as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you think would be best there. I read everything that you guys post at this point, no matter how nonsensical it is. Or you can go join the System Is Down forum at tsidpod.com/forum. You can go in there and converse with all of us, with me, with Craig, who is the Anti-News co-host. You can also let me know if you guys, have any topics that you think I should cover, any shortcomings that I may have. If you think that I'm some sort of shill, you can let me know at tsidpod.com/forum. All right, I've thrown a whole bunch of information out there. Hopefully you followed all that. If not, all the links are in the show description down below, so feel free to check that out. And what else? Oh, if you do tune into the Anti-News Live, and you're also a member of the Downers Club, you'll get the after party, which is our extended Anti-News Live broadcast, where you can call in and be a part of the entire show if you want to. You're our bosses. If you are sponsoring the show with your hard-earned dollars, we appreciate it so much that we take everything that you say into consideration. You're basically a producer, a boss on the show, and you get to help tell us where you want this show to go. And we will do our best to accommodate you. So blah, blah, blah. All that. What else? Please like, share, subscribe. do all the things that millennials do on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the platforms. We're planning on expanding to some new platforms soon so we can hopefully reach all new audiences and grow this thing for you. Everything takes work. Everything takes time. Time is money. Patreon.com/thesystemsdown. I'm going to keep throwing that in there. But also go to iTunes and give a like. Give a 5-star review. Let people know what they're getting when they tune into The System is Down. Appreciate it. It's free, easy way to let people know. Let them know. And as always, please keep an open mind this week. Question all the things, stay all the uncomfortable, talk to people that you don't know. I'm sure you're going to end up at some sort of Halloween party, drinking, having some, intoxicated conversations. And we all know that that's where these conversations really shine when you have some drinks and you're like, I've been thinking about this thing and I haven't had the courage to actually discuss it with somebody. Do that. There's somebody else out there who disagrees with you who would very much enjoy having the same civil conversation. So listen to people, be respectful, be honest, and you can do no wrong. Do your best to be a decent human being and listen to somebody else. They're humans walking their path in life, and they've gone through different shit than you've gone through. You guys can learn from each other, both of you. So if you want to be listened to, listen to them. That is the whole point of this show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you will have me, I will be back here first thing next Monday morning with some more uncomfortable conversations. Happy Halloween. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, question everything. Stay uncomfortable. Thanks. This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.